First of all, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional landowners of this land, past and present. I'd also like to say it in my language that I speak. Ukur panamalangan diak muzinga tuanga kadau gurupan dia lumalangalwanga. Okay. Well, we're speaking about growing up children in two worlds. Muttan mamjamar kulimar makurombo. And where we've been working on this project is at Kaliwinko, which is 500 kilometers east of Darwin. And the population there is just over 2,500. So you can see on the map where we are at a tiny island. Not far from Nurunboy, and that's our closest town that we can reach if we need to go to a bank, because we're very remote there. Yolmo is the word for Aboriginal people of the North Arnhem Land. And Balanda we call the non-Indigenous people. In the northeast Arnhem Land, almost all of the population around that area, 10,000 speak an Aboriginal language as their primary language, and which the languages are very, very strong. I'll pass that over to Anne for
Okay, so my role within SNAICC, these are the project partners with Charles Darwin and the Yala Kalawinko. And the purpose of SNAICC is basically to take the findings and take the findings and get it out nationally into community, and I do that by talking about the project within my trainings, within Deadly Futures or a Place for Culture or any other early years space. And so it's basically we're a platform to get it out nationally once it becomes live, and Anne will talk about that. But because of our exposure that SNAICC has, that's our purpose.
And importantly, we finally, after years of struggle, got funding from Lower Institute for the current 3-year component of the project that we're doing.
Funding straight to your Balanda. Without Balanda now, we don't know their way, how they grow their children. They don't know how we grow our children. We are always there for our children. We don't leave them there with a toy, playing with a toy, with a battery. That's not all. We are there for them all the time. Mothers go hunting. We tell them various stories, dreamtime stories. We sing. We've got songs like what you call 10 little ducks went out one day. That's your song. Over the hills and far away, mother duck said, quack, quack, quack. So that baby, the white baby, learning, singing, through singing. And we said, and we've got a song like, with expression, you sing. You sing with expression, you sing with expression. You sing in your English, you sing in your Romata. We are common in that, but don't drag us to your world, because we don't know how you grow your children. You don't know how we grow our children. Don't put us to your world. Give us rupiah, give us funding, and we can manage as people. You all big brains. We are not robots, and you're switching us and telling us to do this, do that. We are people with brains, people with vision and dream. We are people with dignity, with people. But you, Alana, you take everything away from us. Everything, nearly everything, but not the language, but not the way we live. We are in a true world, coming from this world to this world, from this world to this world. Don't tell us to be a Balada. We are you all. Remember?
So after the intervention started, and I think it was 2012, when this video was made, there were so many early childhood programs, people coming into the community, and the women were getting quite distressed about it and asked to record this video. And out of that, this project grew to focus on the strengths of Yolngu children that they felt were not being recognised.
Okay, so to share your knowledge about growing up children. The aims are to share your knowledge about growing up our children and their strengths and the challenges that we face. To find out what is important to us Yolngu in growing up our children and how families support this development of the children, and to increase other people's understandings of Yolngu people and the children's development. So assessment processes do not confuse difference with deficit. And how are we doing this project? We had 6 case studies, and children involved were aged between 1 and 2 years of when the project started, and their extended families. And they started in 2013 and will be ending in 2018. We did recordings of their everyday activities, children in a range of settings. So we went to their homes, we went with them hunting, wherever we could take the videos and made sure that the families were happy. And we did the interpretations of the videos and data with family members and Yolngu researchers. And this is just an example of where the family are sitting down and just doing the assessments.
So it's the family's interpretation of what's going on in the video, rather than external people sitting down and making a judgment about what's going on. And the perceptions are very different to what, for example, if I look at the video and what I see, the way the families interpret it. So it's another layer of data. There's the videos, the family's interpretation, and then the Yolngu researchers' interpretations added up to that as well.
We did in-depth interviews with the community members from 2016 in collaboration with SNAICC and a national backbone committee to enhance the wider relevance and the dissemination of the research findings. Research activities are conducted in the language of the participants, and collaborative processes is being used throughout all stages of the project, guided by the senior community members of the backbone committee members.
So we've got probably close to 200 episodes of video video now, plus all the other layers of data as well, so that the main output from this stage of the project is going to be to develop this web-based educational resource. So that's being done with the families, with the Yulunga researchers, and we've got a long way to go, but hopefully that will be live next year, the subject of the next presentation.
Okay, so in developing a strong Yulunga identity, the highest priority in early childhood is to understand the connections to everything, all of the natural elements in this world through kinship, guruto, totems, ceremonies, songs and stories, and the names. Teaching intensively through talking from many family members, the immediate family members or family members that come to visit and sit with us or that come to be involved in the cultural ceremonies. We are all a part of teaching our children. And the most important is the language, and it is the key. There is always communication from beginning of life. When the child is born, there is constant teaching from when they are a newborn child, all through until they are an adult.
Ati kiswa ukabe ati ero waka ati je ngaya wa ati like meliran
Jangan pala kagama. Aku mako. Jangan pala. Aja. Kucing ko. Ewa. Anya ngati nyuanya. Jangan beli kain orang ini. Anti ngawati. Di mana baca kayo? Apa? Angena. Ada kawan. Jangan ni. Apa ini orang?
I'll just like to explain a bit about the videos. The first one you saw was the grandfather speaking to the child, trying to get the child to speak back, to respond to him. And so as you can see, there's always, like, we have men and babies, we have boys and babies, we have little girls and babies, always communicating with each other. There is always teaching, there is always testing, constantly, from when they are little, all through until they are an adult and up. And even though they are adults, we still teach our children. And the second video was the mother talking to the little girl, just talking about her grandfather coming back from hunting and what the grandfather is bringing back for her. So we start to speak to our children while they are still little. And this little girl here, her mother's been talking to her about hunting, about collecting, about survival. And she's grown up. How old is she? 4, and she's able to go out, walk into the mangroves with her mother. She can collect at 4 years of age, and she's the best hunter. And she's also teaching the child about her spiritual connections, where she said Baini, and that is the child's spiritual totem. the children start to pick up the steps of dancing, what they need, the tools for the ceremonies, like the little boy was using the sticks as his clapsticks and pretending that he's singing his traditional song. This little boy here, he's one, and he's already learned that he has a connection to the old man that is singing and to the old man that is dancing the morning star dance. He's 1 year old, but he knows when to actually start pounding his feet. Our children are smart. And he knows when to stop. First step during the dance is time only him. And then when he hears the sound of the clapstick, he starts to practice his feet dancing, pounding at the feet like on my guy. And look, he's trying to rewind and then DVD. And there he's trying to rewind it back to the start so he can dance again. So he's not just learning about cultural aspects, cultural ways, he's also learning how to start to rewind and play the video recorder about technology. So here we have these two little girls that are not just focusing on how to dance. As you can see, their parents are sitting behind them. So they're learning from different views, like they have to be concentrating on watching by observing the ladies in front of them, how to actually do the dance. And at the same time, they are listening to their mothers who are sitting behind them and teaching them how to dance and to crouch down and how to dance properly and how to stand and when to take the next step. And also they have to listen to the song that is being sung. So they are learning so many different parts during this ceremony, during this process. They are also learning their connection to the person that is deceased. They are also learning their connection to the song. And the mother is talking behind the children, saying that they are connected to that song, so they have to pay their respects. And that song is the children's great grandparent song. So it's just like, you know, our children have to absorb a lot during the early years. And at the end, where they've hugged each other, they're actually celebrating and praising each other that they've, you know, done a good job.
Just to point out, I think that all this skills, the auditory processing, the coordination, the motor skills, the cultural knowledge those kids are learning, and how much of that is not picked up in standard assessments that label the majority of these kids in this community developmentally vulnerable, yet so much of what they can do is just completely invisible to outsiders who come in and assess them.
Understanding kinship connections and ways of communicating. So as I said earlier, teaching constantly and testing about relationships. We test the children at an early age, even when they're at the age of 1, if they recognize a relative and how they are related to them. Like, there's a quote here, I'll read it out to you. When you say, "Wana wako bapi," where is great-grandfather Snake? That is a cultural lesson for the little one. Because he knows the snake is the totem of his great-granddad. The little child is learning the cultural knowledge just out of that little language. When that little language is planted, it's like a seed. When they grow up, it branches out. Learning the right way to behave and communicate according to kinship. Miriri rom, karum romdon. Miriri rom, miriri is like a brother and a sister cannot live in one house because there has to be respect. A lady cannot go to the toilet in front of the brother. Rom means avoiding relationship or showing respect. Here are the little boys learning to sing, and the young girl is testing him on his knowledge of how he is related to people and if he recognizes the people around him. And you'll notice he'll be pointing at the people. And he's only just turned 1. Grandparents are always interacting with the children, and they always choose to do like role plays. And here you'll see that they will be testing the little boy's knowledge of wrong and right, and that it's not right to steal or take anybody's belongings. Another little boy that's trying to take his thongs, and he knows that they belong to him. So this is where we teach the little children that stealing is not good. Whatever belongs to you belongs to you.
Just encouraging them to be assertive as well. This scene is so typical that's going on in the houses, which are very overcrowded, and we're not going to get to that part of the presentation, which is a bit...
So the little boy's called over to his mother and told her that the great-grandfather's taken his belongings. And at the end, I don't know if you saw the mother clapping her hands. That is actually a sign of assuring the child that the grandfather's had his punishment, so that's a sign of justice. So he's called to the mother for help and told her, my great-grandfather took my belongings. So the mother sort of like slapped the great-grandfather, pretending to slap the great-grandfather. So that's a sign of justice.
Do we need to finish now? Yeah.
Okay, the next one we're going to have a look at is solving problems through kinship connections. And we always find a way that we belong to each other, have connection to each other. That means that we have more potential for kindness and looking after the other people or relatives. There he's using that strategy, the little boy, saying that I'm your little daddy. So don't hit me, or don't fight with me because I'm your papa, which means dad. What happens when learning about identity is not strong? It brings confusion, conflict, misunderstanding, misleading the next generation, which is not good. And then our children become powerless, lost, and become sick. Deep understanding of identity gives resilience and strength, so it is important that our kids are taught well and cared for so they can be strong.
If anyone's interested in looking at these later, that'd be great. I think that's the finishing.
Okay, so how do we connect the two systems? Yolomo, children can learn what they need for both worlds, recognizing and respecting Yolomo knowledge, skills, concerns, and priorities in growing up children must be the first step in this process. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies. Before you leave the stage, have we got any quick questions? Thank you.